This video is about a widow was fired in tears until a millionaire stopped and smiled. If this story inspires you, please like the video, share it with loved ones, and write in the comments how it touched your heart. The sun peeked through the clouds, casting a soft glow over the bustling streets of Maplewood. The town was blanketed in the crispness of autumn, leaves swirling in a kaleidoscope of colors. In the heart of this charming place, Shelley Turner walked with a heavy heart, her thoughts a chaotic storm. It had been a year since she lost her husband, Tom. He had been her anchor, her guiding star, and the suddenness of his passing had left her adrift, battling the turbulent waves of grief every single day. Tom had been the love of her life, a man whose laughter could light up the darkest of days. Now, the world felt dimmer without him. She had thrown herself into work at the local bookstore, trying to find solace among the pages. But today, as she walked into the store, the atmosphere felt different. There was a chill in the air, one that had nothing to do with the weather. Her heart raced as she spotted her boss, Mr. Davis, standing by the counter, his brow furrowed in concern. "Shelley," he said, his voice steady yet tinged with sadness. "Can we talk?" She nodded, apprehension flooding her veins. They moved to a quiet corner of the store, the scent of aged paper filling the air. Mr. Davis took a deep breath, his eyes avoiding hers. "The store's been struggling. I have to make some tough decisions." The weight of his words crashed over her like a wave. She knew the store had been facing challenges, but she hadn't anticipated that her job would be on the line. She had poured her soul into this place. It was a refuge, a reminder of the happy times spent with Tom. Tears pricked at her eyes as she listened to Mr. Davis explain the situation. "I am really sorry, Shelley. I have to let you go. It is nothing personal." The world around her faded. The room spun as she struggled to process the news. "But I need this job," she managed to whisper, her voice trembling. "It is my only source of income." "I know. I wish it could be different," he replied, looking genuinely pained. "If there were another way." Shelley nodded slowly, her heart shattering. She turned and walked out of the store, the chill of loss wrapping around her like a shroud. The familiar streets that once felt like home now seemed foreign and unwelcoming. As she walked, her mind raced with a blend of panic and despair. Bills were piling up, and the thought of losing her job left her feeling utterly helpless. Tom had always been the one to reassure her, telling her that they could face anything together. Now, the weight of her sorrow bore down on her like a dark cloud, threatening to swallow her whole. Lost in thought, she stumbled upon a park where children play, laughter ringing through the air. A bench sat under a sprawling oak tree, and she collapsed onto it, the tears she had been holding back finally flowing freely. The pain of her loss, the burden of uncertainty, and the profound loneliness felt unbearable. "Why is it always so hard?" she muttered to herself, wiping her cheeks with trembling hands. "Why can't life be kind for once?" At that moment, a figure approached her, and she looked up to see a man in a tailored suit, his silver hair catching the sunlight. He had an air of grace and compassion, and when he smiled, it felt like warmth breaking through her storm. "Excuse me," he said gently. "Are you all right?" Shelley caught her breath, surprised at the kindness in his voice. "Not really," she admitted, her vulnerability washing over her. "I just lost my job. I don't know what I am going to do." The man sat beside her, his presence oddly comforting. "I am sorry to hear that," he replied, his tone sincere. "What is your name?" "Shelley," she said, her voice quivering. "I just lost my husband a year ago, and now this." "I am Richard," he introduced himself, extending a hand. "I can't begin to fathom what you're going through, but I believe that every storm eventually passes." His words resonated with her, filling her with a flicker of hope. "It feels like I am stuck in a never-ending storm," she confessed, glancing at the ground. Richard nodded, his expression thoughtful. "It is okay to feel that way, but remember, the human spirit is resilient. You might not see it now, but you have strength within you." Shelley wanted to believe him, but the darkness felt so overwhelming. "What if I can't find a way out?" she whispered. He regarded her with earnest eyes. "Sometimes it takes a little time and a bit of help to find the light. You're not alone, Shelley. There are people who care, even when it feels like no one does." She looked into his eyes, and for the first time in a long while, she felt a flicker of connection. "Thank you," she said softly, her heart swelling with gratitude. "I didn't expect to meet someone like you today." Richard chuckled lightly. "You'd be surprised. Life has a way of introducing us to the right people at the right time." They spoke for what felt like hours, sharing stories and laughter. Richard's warm presence broke through the wall Shelley had built around her heart. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, painting the horizon in shades of orange and purple, a sense of renewed hope washed over her. "I have a small initiative to support women in need," Richard shared. "We provide resources and mentorship. If you're really interested, I'd love to help you find a new path." Shelley's heart raced at the prospect. "You mean I could get support?" The idea of belonging to something bigger sparked a flame within her. "Of course," he replied, his smile infectious. "Sometimes it just takes one moment of kindness to change everything." As they parted ways, Shelley felt lighter, the burden on her heart beginning to lift. Richard's words echoed in her mind, igniting a desire to rise from the ashes of her despair. She realized that while her journey had been fraught with heartbreak, it didn't have to end there. That evening, as she returned home, the glow of hope lingered in her heart. The world was still filled with challenges, but perhaps she could find the strength to face them. With a newfound resolve, she decided to take Richard up on his offer. Tomorrow would be a new beginning, a chance to reclaim her life. Little did she know, life was about to unfold in ways she could never have imagined. The pain of loss would still be a part of her journey, but so would the beauty of unexpected connections and the power of resilience. With each step forward, Shelley would learn to embrace the light even in the darkest of times. The morning sun crept through Shelley's curtains, casting a soft glow on her bed. Though the warmth was inviting, she lay still, her mind racing with the events of yesterday. Richard's words played like a mantra in her head, reminding her of the strength she had buried deep within. Rising from her bed, she felt a spark of determination. Today she would visit Richard's initiative. She dressed thoughtfully, choosing a navy blouse that had once made her feel confident and a pair of simple black socks. As she glanced in the mirror, she saw a reflection of someone ready to embrace change. The journey to the community center felt different from her usual mundane routine. She was filled with a mix of excitement and anxiety, as if she were stepping into unknown territory. Upon arriving, the building stood tall and welcoming, a beacon of hope nestled amid the town's busy streets. As she entered, a sense of warmth enveloped her. Women were gathered in small groups, chatting animatedly, their laughter echoing through the hall. Some were sharing stories, while others were engaged in workshops filled with creative energy. Shelley's heart swelled at the sight. She could feel the collective spirit of resilience in the air. "Hi there, you must be Shelley," their voice broke through her thoughts. Shelley turned to find a woman in her 30s with curly hair and an infectious smile. "I am Lisa, one of the coordinators here. Richard told me about you." "Hi, Lisa," Shelley replied, feeling an instant connection. "I am excited to be here." "Fantastic, let me show you around," Lisa said, leading her deeper into the center. They passed through various rooms, each filled with laughter, inspiration, and determination. "We offer mentorship programs, job placement assistance, and even classes on everything from finance to personal development." Shelley listened intently, her heart racing with possibilities. Could she really find a new path here? As they walked, Lisa shared stories of women who had transformed their lives through the program. Each tale echoed the triumph of the human spirit, igniting a fire within Shelley. Soon, they reached a bright, open room that housed a small group of women seated in a circle. "This is our support group," Lisa explained. "They meet every week to share their journeys and support each other." Feeling hesitant, Shelley's heart began to race. But Lisa gently nudged her. "Why don't you join them? It could be a great start." With trembling hands, Shelley stepped into the circle. The women welcomed her with warm smiles, and though she felt vulnerable, she was determined to share her story. "Hi everyone, I am Shelley," she began, her voice shaky. "I recently lost my husband, and I was let go from my job. I am just trying to find my footing again." The room fell silent for a moment, then a woman named Sarah spoke up. "I know how you feel. I lost my partner last year, and it felt like my world crumbled, but these meetings helped me find my strength again." Another woman chimed in, "It is okay to feel lost. We're here to lift each other up. You're not alone." Shelley felt tears welling in her eyes, but they transformed into a smile. "Thank you. It feels comforting to know I am not alone in this." As the conversation flowed, Shelley began to feel lighter. Sharing her pain and listening to others' stories forged a bond among them, igniting hope where despair once lingered. Each story shared, each bit of laughter exchanged, was a small victory against the shadows looming over their lives. After the session, Lisa approached her. "How did it feel? You did great." "Thank you. I didn't expect to feel so seen," Shelley said, her heart swelling with gratitude. "It was comforting to connect with others who understand." "Absolutely, that is what we're here for," Lisa replied. "Would you like to try a workshop next? We have a Finding Your Passion session today." Sure, I do love that, Shelley answered, excitement bubbling within her. The workshop was lively and engaging. The facilitator led them through activities aimed at discovering their strengths and passions. As Shelley participated, she realized that she had buried her love for writing during her years of grief. Words had always been an escape for her, a way to process her emotions. Let us write a letter to our future selves, the facilitator encouraged. What do you hope to achieve? Shelley closed her eyes and let her heart guide her thoughts. As she wrote, visions of a brighter future danced in her mind. She saw herself leading workshops, sharing her story through writing, and inspiring others to find their resilience. At the end of the session, Shelley felt a sense of renewal she had thought lost forever. She left the center with a notebook and a heart full of hope, ready to embrace the journey ahead. Days turned into weeks, and Shelley became a regular at the community center. She immersed herself in workshops, formed friendships with the women, and even began volunteering. Each day, the weight of her grief felt a little lighter, replaced by purpose and connection. One afternoon, while sorting through supplies in the center, Richard visited. He had a radiant smile on his face, and Shelley felt her heart skip at the sight of him. "Hey, Shelley, how is everything going?" he asked, his eyes sparkling with warmth. "It has going really well, Richard. I've been attending workshops and even found a writing group," she shared, her excitement palpable. "That's wonderful, I knew you had it in you," he replied, pride evident in his tone. "You are thriving." His words filled her with warmth. "I am starting to feel like myself again. Thank you for believing in me." Richard smiled, a comforting presence in her life. "You did the hard work, Shelley. You were the one who stepped up and took the leap." That evening, as Shelley sat in her small apartment, the glow of her desk lamp illuminating the pages of her notebook, she began to write a story. It was inspired by the women she had met, their struggles, and their triumphs. She poured her heart onto the pages, weaving tales of resilience, hope, and the beauty of the human spirit. Weeks passed, and Shelley's story began to take shape, evolving into something she never expected. Her words flowed effortlessly, and the act became a cathartic release, allowing her to embrace her grief while celebrating the strength of those around her. One day, Lisa approached her with exciting news. "I have an idea. Let us host a community event where we share our stories. You could read yours." Shelley's heart raced. "Me? Read in front of everyone?" "Absolutely. Your journey could inspire so many. You've come so far, and I believe your story deserves to be heard," Lisa encouraged. Taking a deep breath, Shelley contemplated the idea. The thought of sharing her story was both terrifying and exhilarating. "Okay, I'll do it," she said, determination shining in her eyes. As the event date approached, Shelley found herself filled with both anticipation and fear. The day finally arrived, and the community center buzzed with energy. Women gathered, excited to share their experiences and uplift one another. When it was her turn to speak, Shelley's heart thundered in her chest. She stepped up to the microphone, taking a deep breath to steady herself. The room fell quiet, and she began to speak, her voice trembling at first. "Hi, I am Shelley," she began, glancing around the room. "A year ago, I lost my husband, and I felt like my world had collapsed. I lost my job, and I didn't know how to move forward." As she spoke, she felt the warmth of the women surrounding her, their eyes filled with encouragement. "But then I came here. I found community, friends, and a sense of purpose. I reconnected with my love for writing, and it has been a lifeline." Tears filled her eyes as she continued. "I realized that even in the darkest moments, we can find light. It is okay to ask for help. It is okay to lean on others. Together, we are stronger." The room erupted in applause, and Shelley couldn't help but smile through her tears. In that moment, she felt the power of connection, the strength of shared experiences, and the beauty of resilience. After the event, she was enveloped in hugs from her new friends. "You were amazing," Lisa exclaimed. "Your words touched everyone." Shelley felt a sense of accomplishment swell within her. She had stepped out of the shadows of grief and embraced the light. The journey ahead was still unknown, but she had found her tribe, her voice, and a renewed passion for life. As she walked home that evening, the stars twinkled brightly above, illuminating her path. She no longer felt lost. She was part of something beautiful. Life's challenges would still come, but now she faced them armed with resilience, community, and the understanding that hope always thrives, even in the darkest of times. As weeks turned into months, the crisp autumn leaves faded into the chill of winter. Shelley Turner found herself wrapped in the warmth of her newfound community, the laughter of friends echoing in her heart like the comforting embrace of a loved one. The days, though sometimes heavy with memories of loss, had begun to shine with moments of joy and unexpected surprises. One snowy afternoon, as Shelley prepared her favorite chamomile tea in her tiny kitchen, she reflected on the transformation that had taken place within her. Each sip was a reminder of how far she had come. The chaotic storm within her had calmed, and in its place, a quiet strength had emerged. "Hey, Shelley, ready for our writing session?" Lisa's cheerful voice broke through her thoughts, and Shelley turned to see her friend bundled in a colourful scarf, her cheeks rosy from the cold. "Yeah, let me just grab my notebook," Shelley replied, smiling. The writing group had become a cherished part of her routine, a place where words flowed freely and creativity blossomed among the supportive women. They gathered every Wednesday, sharing their stories, fears, and triumphs, and Shelley relished every moment. At the community centre, the air was filled with laughter and camaraderie as the women settled into their circle, sipping tea and exchanging stories. Shelley felt a sense of belonging that she had missed so deeply. "Today, let us focus on writing about our dreams," Lisa suggested, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "What do you envision for your future?" Shelley's heart raced at the question. Her dreams had once felt buried under grief, but now they danced on the edges of her consciousness, whispering of possibilities. "I want to write a book," she finally said, her voice gaining strength. "A book about resilience and the power of community." The group erupted in applause, and Shelley's cheeks flushed with excitement. "Wow, that's amazing, you have to do it," Sarah chimed in, her voice filled with encouragement. With renewed energy, Shelley dove into writing. She poured her heart into her words, sharing stories of courage, hope, and the beauty of finding light amidst darkness. The more she wrote, the more she realized that her pain could serve a purpose, that her journey could inspire others who felt lost in their own storms. As the days passed, Shelley began to envision her book taking shape. With encouragement from Lisa and the other women, she set a goal to finish her first draft by spring. They often gathered for writing sessions, each woman contributing their unique perspectives and talents, creating a vibrant tapestry of stories. But as she navigated her path, shadows of doubt still lingered at times. One evening, as Shelley sat at her desk, the weight of uncertainty crept back in. What if she wasn't good enough? What if her story didn't resonate with anyone? "Hey, what's wrong?" Lisa's voice interrupted her spiraling thoughts as she peeked into the room. "You look deep in thought." I don't know if I can do this," Shelley confessed, biting her lip. "What if my writing isn't good enough? What if nobody cares?" Lisa stepped closer, her expression serious yet gentle. "Shelley, everyone has doubts, but remember, your story matters. You've been through so much, and sharing your journey could mean the world to someone else. You're not alone in this." Shelley met Lisa's gaze, and slowly the flicker of hope ignited within her. "You're right, I just need to keep pushing through the fear." "That's the spirit," Lisa beamed. "Let us tackle this together. How about we do a writing retreat for the group, the weekend getaway to focus on our writing?" Excitement bubbled within Shelley. "That sounds incredible." And so plans were made. They booked a cozy cabin in the woods, surrounded by snow-dusted trees and a crackling fireplace. The anticipation of sharing this experience filled Shelley with energy, and she felt a renewed sense of purpose. When the retreat weekend arrived, the group settled into the cabin, laughter echoing through the rooms as they unpacked their bags. The scent of fresh coffee wafted through the air, mingling with the warmth of friendship. Shelley felt a surge of gratitude wash over her as she took in the scene. "Let us set some intentions for the weekend," Lisa suggested, gathering everyone in a circle. "What do you hope to achieve?" Shelley took a deep breath, her heart racing with excitement. "I want to finish my first draft," she declared, the words spilling out with conviction. "And I want to connect with all of you in this process." One by one, the women shared their goals, creating a tapestry of aspirations that hung in the air like a promise. The weekend unfolded in a flurry of words, laughter, and encouragement as they shared their progress, read snippets of their writing, and supported one another through every challenge. On the second night of the retreat, gathered around the flickering fire, Shelley felt a wave of contentment wash over her. The conversations flowed effortlessly, filled with dreams and fears alike. "I've been thinking about my story," Sarah began, her eyes reflecting the firelight. "I want to write about my mother. She was such a fighter, and I want to honor her spirit through my words." "That's beautiful, Sarah," Shelley replied, her heart swelling with admiration. "Your mom would be proud." As the night deepened, Shelley felt compelled to share her journey. "You all know how hard this past year has been for me. Losing Tom was like losing a part of myself, but I've realized that writing helps me heal. It is like I am finding pieces of me again." Tears glistened in Sarah's eyes. I understand. Writing has been my therapy too. It is our way of processing everything. The warmth of empathy enveloped them, and in that moment, Shelley understood the power of connection. It was through their shared struggles that they had found strength and resilience, lifting each other up when the weight of the world felt too heavy. As the retreat came to an end, Shelley felt more inspired than ever. She had connected deeply with her friends and found her voice among them. The fear of inadequacy began to fade, replaced by a determination to share her story authentically. Back home, she dove into writing with fervor, pouring her heart onto the pages. Her mornings became a sacred time of creativity, and she transformed her fears into words that danced across the paper. She wrote about loss, resilience, and the unwavering support of community, weaving together her experiences and the stories of the women she had come to love. As she neared the completion of her draft, a sense of excitement mixed with anxiety churned within her. She had grown attached to her words, but sharing them beyond her circle felt daunting. Shelley, it is time to take the next step, Lisa encouraged one afternoon as they sat together at the community center. You've poured your heart into this. You should consider finding an editor or a publisher. Do you think it is really ready? Shelley asked, biting her nails nervously. Absolutely, your words have the power to inspire. You need to believe in yourself as much as we believe in you, Lisa replied, her voice unwavering. So, with a mix of excitement and fear, Shelley began researching editors. After several nerve-wracking weeks, she summoned the courage to send her manuscript to a small publishing house that focused on uplifting stories. Days turned into a week, and Shelley found herself lost in a whirlwind of thoughts, replaying every moment from her journey. What if they didn't like it? What if they rejected her work? Finally, an email notification pinged on her phone, jolting her from her thoughts. She hesitated for a moment, her heart pounding in her chest. Taking a deep breath, she opened the message, her eyes scanning the words. Dear Shelley, we are excited to offer you a publishing contract for your manuscript. Tears of joy filled her eyes as disbelief washed over her. She had done it. She had taken a chance and shared her story, and it was being recognized. The weight of her journey melted away, replaced by a sense of triumph. Over the following months, Shelley worked closely with her editor, refining her manuscript and preparing for publication. The process was challenging, but with every revision, she felt more empowered, more connected to her story. Finally, the day of the book launch arrived. The community center buzzed with excitement as friends and family gathered to celebrate. Shelley stood at the front, her heart racing as she looked out at the faces that had supported her through it all. Thank you for being here today, she began, her voice shaking with emotion. This book is a collection of my journey, but it is also a tribute to all of you. Your strength and resilience have inspired me in ways I can't express. The audience erupted in applause, and Shelley's heart swelled with warmth. As she read excerpts from her book, she could see the impact of her words reflected in the eyes of those present. After the reading, she mingled with friends who congratulated her and shared their excitement about her journey. But it was Richard's presence that brought tears to her eyes. You did it, Shelley, he said, enveloping her in a warm hug. I am so proud of you. Shelley felt the weight of Richard's embrace, grounding her amid the whirlwind of emotions swirling around her. It was as if his warmth had ignited a fire within her, a reminder of all the struggles she had faced and the immense strength she had found along the way. Thank you for believing in me, she whispered, pulling back to look into his kind eyes. I had no doubt you would get here, he replied with sincerity. You've transformed not just your life, but the lives of everyone around you. Your story is a beacon of hope. With tears still glistening in her eyes, Shelley smiled at the crowd of women who had gathered around her. Each person stood as a testament to the power of community, the shared strength that had lifted her when she had felt utterly lost. Let us take a picture, Lisa shouted, her voice filled with excitement. The energy in the room was electric, and soon everyone was clamoring to gather around Shelley, phones in hand. As they squeezed together, Shelley's heart swelled. The faces around her were familiar yet transformative, women who had once been strangers but had now become her sisters in resilience. They had shared tears, laughter, and the weight of their burdens, and each story had etched itself into her own journey. When the shutter clicked, freezing that moment in time, Shelley couldn't help but reflect on a path that had led her here. In the weeks following the book launch, Shelley settled into this new chapter of her life. Her book, Finding Light, not only chronicled her own journey of grief and healing, but also featured collaborative stories from her writing group. Readers resonated with the tales of hope and persistence, and the book began to gain traction in the community. One afternoon, as she sat in her favorite corner of the community center, she felt a rush of gratitude wash over her. She had spent countless hours drafting, editing, and now promoting her book, yet it still felt surreal to see her name on the cover. "Hey, superstar." Lisa's voice broke through her thoughts as she approached, a cup of steaming tea in hand. "I just saw another review online. They loved it." Shelley looked up, her heart fluttering with a mixture of excitement and nervousness. "Really? What did they say?" "They mentioned how your story is not just about loss, but about rediscovering joy after grief," Lisa replied, her eyes lighting up. "And how your words resonate with so many people struggling to find their way." Shelley felt the warmth of pride fill her chest. "That's incredible. I just wanted to share the hope I found." "You redoing that and more?" Lisa beamed, sitting beside her. "Have you thought about doing a book signing? I think it would be amazing to connect with your readers directly." The idea sent a thrill through Shelley. "I hadn't really considered it. What if no one shows up?" "Then we'll make sure everyone shows up." Lisa laughed. "You have a fan base now. People want to hear your story. You've inspired so many." With Lisa's encouragement echoing in her mind, Shelley decided to take the plunge. She organized a book signing event at the community center, where she felt most at home. The day of the event arrived, and the place buzzed with anticipation. Shelley's heart raced as she prepared her table, surrounded by stacks of her books and a colorful display of flowers. "Ready?" Lisa asked, her voice laced with excitement. "Ready as I'll ever be," Shelley replied, taking a deep breath to steady herself. The room filled with people, and as she looked out, familiar faces grinned back at her, mingling with newcomers who had heard about her story. "Welcome, everyone," she called out, her voice ringed with a mix of nerves and enthusiasm. "Thank you for being here today. This book is not just mine, it belongs to all of you who have shared your stories with me. Together, we've recreated a tapestry of resilience." As she signed books and engaged in conversations, Shelley felt a profound sense of connection. Readers shared their stories, their struggles, and how her words had touched their lives. With each interaction, she realized the true impact of her journey. It was no longer just about her healing, but about igniting hope in others. Another woman approached her, her eyes filled with tears. "Your book helped me find the courage to face my own grief," she said, her voice trembling. "Thank you." Shelley felt her heart ache with empathy. "You were so strong for sharing that with me. It is not easy to open up about our pain, but it is how we connect and heal." The woman nodded, wiping her tears. "Your words made me feel less alone. Thank you for being brave." The event continued, and Shelley found herself enveloped in moments of warmth and inspiration. But no one captivated her more than a young girl, perhaps 9 or 10, who approached her shyly. "Hi, I am Emma," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I read your book. It made me feel happy." Shelley crouched down to Emma's eye level, her heart swelling with joy. "Thank you, Emma. That means the world to me. What was your favorite part?" "When you talked about finding your light again. I lost my grandma last year, and I was sad, but now I try to remember all the happy times we had," Emma said, her honesty striking a chord within Shelley. "Your grandma would be so proud of you," Shelley replied, feeling tears prick at the corners of her eyes. "But remembering those happy moments is a beautiful way to honor her." Emma smiled brightly, and in that moment Shelley realized how interconnected their stories were. Each loss was a chapter in a larger narrative of resilience, and through sharing, they could illuminate the path for others navigating their own grief. The day drew to a close, and as the last guest left, Shelley felt a mixture of exhilaration and exhaustion. "I can't believe how amazing that was," she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling. "You were fantastic." Lisa cheered. "You truly touched so many hearts today." As they packed up, Shelley couldn't shake the feeling of fulfillment that swelled within her. "Thank you for pushing me to do this, Lisa. I couldn't have done it without your support." "That's what friends are for," Lisa replied, her smile warm. "But you did the hard work, you stepped into the light, and now you're shining for others to see." Days turned into weeks again, and Shelley found herself riding the waves of success with the book. But amid the joy, she was still reminded of the challenges life could throw at her. One evening, as winter settled into Maplewood, she received an unexpected phone call that sent her heart racing. "Hi, is this Shelley Turner?" the voice on the other end asked. "Yes, it is," she replied cautiously, the tone of the caller sparking her anxiety. "I am calling from Maplewood Community College. We would love to invite you to speak at our annual speaker series about resilience and your journey. Would you be interested?" Shelley's heart raced. Speaking? In front of an audience? She hesitated, fear gripping her momentarily. I'd have to think about it," she stammered, uncertainty clouding her mind. Of course, take your time. We believe your story could inspire many in our community, the voice said kindly before hanging up. As Shelley set the phone down, she felt a surge of conflicting emotions. Could she really step onto a stage and share her story again? The thought both terrified and thrilled her. The next few days were a whirlwind. She confided in Lisa about the invitation. "I don't know if I can do it," she admitted, her hands trembling slightly. "Shelley, you've already shared your story with the community. Plus, think about the impact you can have," Lisa encouraged, her voice unwavering. "But this feels different. A whole auditorium. What if I freeze up?" Then you take a moment, breathe, and remember why you read there. You read not just speaking for yourself, you are sharing hope for others. That is powerful, Lisa replied. Slowly, Shelley began to feel the flicker of courage ignite within her. "Okay, I'll do it. I'll take the leap." As the day of the speaking engagement approached, Shelley immersed herself in preparation. She wrote and rehearsed a speech, poring over her journey and the lessons learned along the way. The night before, she sat in her living room, surrounded by notes and a cup of tea, feeling a mix of excitement and dread. On the day of the event, she arrived at the college, her heart racing as she stepped into the auditorium. The room was filled with people, their faces a blur as she took a deep breath to steady herself. "Welcome everyone," she greeted, her voice trembling slightly. "Thank you for having me here. I am honored to share my story with you today." As she spoke, she felt the initial nerves begin to fade. Sharing her experiences, the loss of Tom, her journey of grief, and how she had found light through community felt freeing. The audience's attentive faces urged her on. Life can throw challenges our way, and it's easy to feel lost. But we learned that it is okay to lean on others.